It is a tricky conversation to have. It's difficult. Entrefest is a statewide conference for entrepreneurs, business people, economic developers, community collaborators, just anybody who's interested in using business as a way to make a difference in their community. Kiran and I have talked before about how our two areas of entrepreneurship and innovation and then diversity and culture are kind of related, and they really do have kind of a profound impact on each other, but we hadn't really had an opportunity to explore that relationship yet.
Well, thank you everyone for coming here this afternoon to take part in our conversation.
We're all careful when we talk about this subject, even myself. So I want to move to a place where we don't have to be quite so careful, where we can just acknowledge our own shortcomings and acknowledge that we're here to learn, and we're here from a place of wanting to know more.
I thought it was really interesting how we had people, everyone from people who are fellows at Diversity Focus, and diversity is what they think about for a living, and they just eat and breathe this stuff, to people who were saying, I didn't realize this was an issue.
Part of what we did was we created a room in which there were visible indicators of the statistics all around the room. So we had posters saying only a fraction of business owners in the state of Iowa are African American business owners. Only 1 in so many business owners are Asian in the state of Iowa. We put these statistics all around the room. So when you walked in, we didn't have to spend a lot of time giving you that foundation. You could see around you the numbers.
I think people really did come with a spirit of openness and a spirit of exploration. And I think that made for a really dynamic conversation, because you could see just learning and connections happening right there in the room.
I think one of the most satisfying parts of having these conversations is taking it beyond just writing about the problem. So when you bring 30 people into a room and you let them dictate, where are we going to go? What are we going to explore? It goes far beyond the scope of a reporter calling 5 sources and saying, here, let me write a story about diversity and entrepreneurship. And you're actually walking away with things that you didn't know before. You're creating new knowledge, which is so exciting. I'm not one for the name, so okay, yes, it's called Open Space Technology, but for me, it's just about letting the people in the room dictate where you go and what you're doing.
So instead of having one facilitator that would stand up and say, here's our agenda, we're going to talk about this and this and this, it gives the people in the room a chance to explore what they're passionate about and to just kind of naturally follow the flow of the conversation.
They wanted to talk about the role of the white male, or the delicate balance between being a woman and a mother and being an entrepreneur and finding that fine line, or about diversity on college campuses. Those are all topics that came up, and those aren't topics that we dictated are important, but they are topics the group said that they wanted to explore.
One of the breakout groups that was proposed was it was a white guy, and he said, I'm a straight white male from a predominantly white state. I want to be supportive of diversity, but how can I do that? And that to me was really meaningful, because I felt like we had created the space where people felt comfortable having kind of those level of conversations.
Once we give people the facts and we give them personal invitations to conversations, things start to change. People want to stay safe, which is fine, but I hope that we can sometimes have a conversation in which you're willing to say the unsafe things, because that's probably on everyone's mind, and saying it would be beneficial because we would all then learn and grow.
So what we did at the end of the conversation, we just had everybody go around and say what their personal next step was. And it could be something as simple as, I'm going to go home and read more about this issue, or it could be as big as, I'm going to tweak a program at the university to be more inclusive for diverse candidates. Diversity is about celebrating differences, but it's also about, what are those things that we can all relate to? What are those things that bring us together? So in the entrepreneurship space, it is that idea of chasing a dream. And I think that was really meaningful, that entrepreneurs can relate to each other, and that they're, following their passions and they're trying new things, and they can relate to that, more than they can get hung up on differences.
And if this group of 30 all follows through on their takeaways, that's maybe 60 people that they're impacting, if they each impact, one person, and that continues to grow. Now we're really talking about change.